Hello, my name is Alan. My pronouns are he, him, and today I'm facilitating these for the second time under the official banner of Open Hearth of the Open Hearth gaming community. Open Hearth is the new name for the Gauntlet gaming community. We have there's now a little bit of distance between the gaming community and the Gauntlet publishing, a considerable distance actually. We're entirely separate, yes. So this is the first time. If you want to search Open Hearth. You should find both our calendar on Playable, and you should also find our website, and you should also find a Patreon. So if you'd like to come and play with us, because I know you'd enjoy it, please check us out. And check your social media for other links and games. So enough of all that. This is the third of four sessions of my hack of World of Dungeons to allow me to play in the Glorantha of my youth, in a game I have christened rather cheekily Rune Seekers. We're using the Borderlands 1982, 84, one of those two dates, campaign for the original second edition RuneQuest, I'm having a good time. I really don't care about the players. I'm loving the nostalgia. Yes, no, someone's just asked, was Glorantha the setting with the duck people? Yes, I never included the duck people, particularly because at the time they were always drawn looking like Daffy. So I could never take them seriously. I always left them out. There are some in the original Borderlands, but you will never see them. You will never see the duck people. Let me ask the players to say hello and just tell us a little something about the characters before we roll on from where we left off. In a break with tradition, I'm going to go in reverse character keeper order. Oh, sorry, our fourth player is ill today, so has open doors. Joe, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Incarnate.
Hello, good morning for me. I'm Joe, he, him. I apologize. It was prom last night here, and that again, that might mean nothing to you guys, but it meant my daughter was out until 4 a.m. So, yeah, I'm full of it today. I'm playing Incarnate, initiate of she/her. Sorry, an initiate of Ernalda, sort of in my mind, sort of the Earth goddess, sort of Gaia type Earth Mother thing. She's sort of excuse me, she's sort of I don't know, feisty. I kind of view her as a sort of a tribal, druidy, rangery sort of ish, if you want to put it in that context. She Oh, what else do we want to know about her? She's an old Tarshite, which means that they are pissed off at the Lunar Empire because they are usurpers in their mind. And I'll say something. I think at the end of last session, she was drawn. So she was drawn to this place, and I think we were going to establish that she's identified her sort of like why she was drawn here to one of the places we kind of mentioned last time. So we'll learn more about that today, hopefully.
Indeed, we will. And I hope I've remembered the right place that she was drawn to.
I actually don't care. I think both Blake and Sabine had thoughts about what they might want to, in their wishes, might want to, an area they might want to, somebody did, and I was gonna link into that, so I'm perfectly okay. Either the eyes, maybe, or the tower.
Yeah, the tower seemed to be quite popular last time, so we might hear more about the tower today. Moving along, Sabine, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Rissan.
Hi, my name is Rune. I use any pronouns, and I'm playing Rissan, who uses he, they pronouns. Rissan is initiate of Lankarmi, I don't know, which means he honors the god of knowledge and writing. And yeah, he likes to seek out mysteries and artifacts and stuff like that, some of which led to him being exiled from his homeland, which which is Isrolia, where people are cultured and stuff like that. not like here, okay. The bathtubs are certainly a lot better, but yeah, kind of his own fault. He was exiled from his hometown after surviving a tragedy, which was not precisely his fault, but which was not precisely his fault, not his fault either. And now he's here because he's read about some other artifacts of the same variety. So he's looking for them so that nobody else will suffer such a tragedy.
Makes perfect sense to me. And finally, Blake, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Janderton.
G'day, I'm Blake. I'm playing Janderton, also he, him. And so he's Initiative Humact, which is sort of death and war god, a bit of Ares or Ares from Greek mythology sort of vibe. So Janderton's he's from the Grazelanders, who are like Mongol sort of horse people. They live on their ponies up on the steppes, and yeah, he's looking for a certain amount of undead to be worthy of a fight. And yeah, so far he hasn't been suffering from death yet, so it's all good.
Enough said. We finished last time with you being sent off on your second mission, and because I was rather keen to get the second mission going, because as I say, I'm lost in a nostalgic hubbub. I didn't think to kind of do anything in between the sessions, the missions, which I really should have done. Just for a bit of RP, if nothing else. But the bottom line is that the assumption in this hack of the rules is that by the time your second mission comes up, unless there is some other narrative intervention, your health returns to normal. So your health will pop back up to, in the case of all three of you, 10, and I'll improve Mona's character to the 14 that she has. The other thing is that I should have given you an opportunity to talk about how we might have seen you trying to restore your favor with your gods, because some of you used some of that favor last time to cast rune spells or to call on your gods to power those rune spells. And I noticed that Janderton and Incarnate both used a rune spell last time, and so I feel obliged to give you an opportunity to recover that. So, Incarnate, the way that you recover favor is by honoring Analda by exploring her world and its life. So, what might we have seen in the cutscene I should have allowed before you set off on your second mission that showed you doing that?
One thought I had was that I'd done a little bit of like Googling on Arnalda just to get in the right headspace, and so it seems like they would be perhaps like the midwives and having a lot to do with those sorts of activities, and so I think what we might see is that she offers those whatever kinds of services like that, like helping mothers or those sorts of things at the fort while we're there. So
I think that's lovely, because so far all we know about the fort is that it's got a kind of garrison of soldiers, the family. And I think what this tells us is that as well as those soldiers, there are some of their partners and families with them. So I think that's delightful, and you can have a favor back. So increase your current favor to match your available favor. And Janderton, you also, I think, used a rune spell last time. So narratively, how do we see you honoring Humact? And you can do that by swearing and keeping oaths unto death.
I think I can't remember Jane's boss. Was it something of Rune?
Duke Rouse of Rone is your employer, and his swordmaster is Dane, who is, like you, a Humacti.
So I'll swear to keep the fort safe. And I'll do this by sort of patrolling the area every morning, any of the militia want to spar to keep their, practice their skills, I'll do that with them, and that's, that's my way of making sure they're up to scratch for if I'm not there.
I think that's great. I think this idea of you offering to spar with the troops particularly is absolutely on the money, and Dane will look on approvingly at your willingness to not just maintain your own skills, but also improve those of others. So you too can increase your favor back to its current maximum, which is 2, I think, for everybody at the minute. And I think that I gave you each a little bit of loot from the brews, but you can add another coin because, of course, you are getting paid for this gig. So whatever your coin ended with last time, you should add one to that for wages. And I'm curious whether anyone is going to then narrate a scene at perhaps Horngate, the nearest point of civilization, or in the fort that might involve you spending any of that. Any thoughts? Let me go to Rissan first.
I think I want to have some light armor, maybe.
Fine.
Because it's got 3 coin, and last time was like, okay, there's a lot of potential damage. I didn't take any, but still could have happened. So having some sort of armor. I mean, nobody cares about my fashion sense here anyway. So, yeah, I will go and try to find armor that is aesthetically at least not totally horrendous.
I have to say that mighty armor that is in your mind is you're sadly disappointed by what either the fort or Horngate can provide. So you
doesn't need to be mighty, just a little protection. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. But in terms of decorative features, I suppose I mean.
Yeah.
So you can spend your coin down to 0, and tick both the boxes alongside light armor. You'll find them under gear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that 1, 2, 3, 4, that will move you from light load to normal load.
Oh, no. Okay.
So you are now quick and looking for trouble rather than nimble and inconspicuous.
No, that's fine. I think with the running around with Incarnate and Janderton, I won't be inconspicuous anyway.
Enough said.
Yeah.
What about Incarnate? Is there anything that you want to spend your 3 coin on, or any part of it?
Yeah, I think she wants to maybe seek out a shaman or somebody to gain some additional spirit magic.
Okie dokie. So go ahead. I think Darilli Godspeaker, who is the Rone family priest, is someone who could, call and bind a spirit. There may be certain things that he feels uncomfortable about doing, but do you have a preference on which spirit magic spell you want to spend 3 coin on?
Yes, I was thinking the disruption.
Fine. No, he's very happy for that to happen. The Lunar Church, the Seven Mothers, is surprisingly Catholic. His working assumption is that you will obey your contract with the Duke and not use it on people the Duke doesn't want to use it. So yeah, he'll go with that. He'll teach you disruption. Spirit attacks a nearby foe you target. Mark their clock once per minute. There we are. And finally, Janderton, is there anything that you feel the need to spend any of your 4 coin?
No, I think it'd be too busy doing other stuff. So no, not at the minute.
Sit on that for a while. And thank you for allowing me to do previously on Borderlands of Prax there. So I can now cut to the action, which was you were heading upriver in reed boats, powered and steered by some of the Duke's newtling mercenaries. And there's a picture of a newtling in the NPC tab if you want to get some idea what they look like, along with a prisoner that they took, who says he can lead you to some outlaws. And I think that we will kind of retroactively remove Mona from this, having refused to give up her bison, because clearly the bison will not fit on that boat. I'm going to assume, Janderton, you were prepared to leave your pony behind, uncomfortable as that probably is.
Yeah.
And so you were heading upriver towards North Bog, where so here's the fort. You will have made your way in the newtling boats through the marshes of the Great Bog and be about to start heading up to North Bog.
Just 1 second. Last time, because I got breathed on and clawed by a brew, I got infected with the shakes. Do I need to spend money to get rid of that?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question, isn't it? I think that you probably do, but I don't think you've got enough yet.
Oh, great! All right, so I'm still not
because that is going to require if you check out the effect of spirit magic heal. So you could pay Darilli to heal a wound, but it will take rune magic to cure a disease, and you are indeed currently infected with the shakes.
Great.
Never shake hands with a brew. And you got very up close and personal with one last time. So that's going to take 6 coin.
Okay.
Get Darilli to cast that spell. Yeah.
Right. All
right. Until then, I've made a note under health, has the shakes, potential -1. So that's just an aid memoir for me when it's appropriate. I think that shaking hand.
One question.
Yes.
Can I not buy the light armor and lend Janderton the 2 coin that he needs? Because I think it would be a lot more useful for him to be up to his full health than me having a piece of armor.
Well, I think that's a very, very civilized thing for you to do.
Well, yes. It's a generous offer, but no, you keep the armor. I will endure this. My Humact is testing me, and I will not fail him.
Janderton, I understand your urge to be noble, but I would really prefer for you to be up to your full strength when we face this challenge. This also might be a way how you might just testing your willingness to keep to your vow to protect the settlement, to not keep to your pride.
The offer's on the table, Jansen. Are you going to take it or continue to refuse it?
All right. But I'll make a note. I resend. Okay,
so I think if I've done my retroactive maths right, that leaves Rissan with 1 coin, Jansen with nothing, and I will delete that bit about the shakes from the character sheet.
I'll give you 2 back.
I have no doubt that you will, unless I die on this expedition, of course. In that case, so. Make sure I have a nice burial.
Well, I'm counting Jansen as having sworn to pay you back. Quite how you'll do that if you are dead, I don't know, but that's probably in the second series, I have to tell you. So read boats. And last time I think I finished with saying, and then the ambush happens, or words to that effect. So I think that we had Janderton and it was Delenda in the first boat. Well, now it's just Janderton and the newtling prisoner. In the second boat, there's Incarne and Rissan. Oh no, it was Incarne in the front boat because of that kind of ability, that scouty bit. So Incarne in the first in the front with the prisoner, and Janderton and Rissan in the second boat. And when I say the ambush happens, what I mean is that the one of the newtling mercenaries who is powering the front boat takes a javelin in the chest and falls into the water. I think because it's in the front boat, I'm going to go to Incarne first. What do you do?
So if I correct me if I'm wrong, I kind of remember that we did some rolls right before this, and she got a pretty good roll on that. So can she see can she tell where it came from?
Yes, she can. Because the bogs, particularly nearest the river, they're, dense reed beds. And so visibility is very poor. The reed beds are relatively dense. There are, kind of ways through them. And what I think you see is a newtling bob up out of the water, hurl the javelin, and then dive back down. So this looks like newtling on newtling violence. But then again, as a reminder from last time, the prisoner escaped death, summary execution, because he claims that the mercenary newtlings are just against his village. Too furious, yeah.
Newtling on newtling violence.
So that's what I think you see. Do you want to do anything with that information right away?
Well, so I also remember, like, so we're kind of not, if I remember correctly, based on our conversation at the end, we were, because I think Rasan had, if I remember correctly, I had talked to the newtling to kind of get all that. I think we were somewhat inclined to, I don't know if believe their story, but not necessarily disbelieve it, right? Like we were a little suspicious of this. So I think she'll probably ready her bow, but call out, make the group aware that.
Well, I think everyone's aware. When that first mercenary goes over the side with a javelin in his chest, I think awareness is there. So I'm going to go to Janderton next as our kind of martially inclined individual. You see this happen. Incarnate kind of points maybe to where she saw the javelin come from. Janderton, what do you do?
Can I get to the javelin, sorry?
Can you get to the when?
The newtling that threw the javelin, can I get over to it and stab him?
You can certainly jump into the water that he's dived down into.
And thrush around with my short sword. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, let's have you do that. I think that this is probably survival would be the relevant kind of swimming bit of this. So let's have you, I think this is probably taking action in an attempt to try and even find him. Yeah. Okay. So let's have you roll 2d6 plus, and I think that this is probably wit.
Okay. So 9.
Honestly, bless you.
Can I help with that?
In what way?
Trying to see where the newtling is and then just calling it out. I mean, I imagine he comes up for air at least once or twice while looking for a newtling thing.
There isn't really an assist mechanism.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to treat that as a 9. You succeed and choose one from the list. Gain a narrative advantage, which could be that you know where it went, for instance. But there's no way you're going to reach it with an attack right now.
Yep.
Because it's at close range, hurling a javelin, rather than next to the boat. But you've gone in after it.
No, can I, instead of knowing where it went, can I know how many are against us? Like maybe I see.
Okay.
Swishes in the reeds underwater or something? Or
I think that when you leap into the water, you go in up to your chest. And you can feel it's quite boggy, quite soft underfoot. So you can walk in this, but walk in this. And I think you will see disturbances in the reeds, which would suggest that there's a handful of newtlings out there. Yeah?
Right. Yeah. So I'll say there's 5 or 6,
Rasan,
in front.
What are you going to do?
I mean, I have these throwing darts. Maybe I can try to use one of them to just I don't know. I mean, I prefer talking, but we seem to be past the talking stage here.
Well, I mean, never say never.
Yeah, but they killed one of our guards, ones in our group. That is not a good start for a conversation, and we're not beaten yet, so I will mentally prepare a surrender speech, but I will also throw a dart at one of these
Fine.
guys, maybe the one in the water, if I can figure out where it is, or if I can see someone who's not in the water and close enough to hit with a dart. I would prefer to do that.
I'm going to apply a -2 to this, because the reeds are dense and there is no obvious target. You are really throwing these darts at disturbances in the reeds. So I seem to remember that this is ranged weapon, so wit.
Yep. Okay. I need dice.
Oh, it's on the safety tab.
No, I have the dice room. I just forgot. No, I don't hit anything. I hit myself.
Oh gosh, no, that is not good. So on a miss, what miss shall I apply here? You fail things down badly. The GM described the consequence.
Maybe I fall off the boat.
Yeah, I think it's too obvious not to love.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get up and you throw it, and you know the reed boats are hardly the most stable, and splash, you're in the water. So Incarnate.
Did that on purpose. I did that on purpose.
I'm sure you did. So both Janderton and Rissan are in the water. It must be said, Rissan looks like they're floundering. Janderton looks like he did it deliberately. And that's when the second newtling in your boat gets taken out with a javelin, because they're looking around, looking for a target. Maybe they've thrown something into the undergrowth, but the second newtling is gone. What do you do?
So so I have the prisoner newtling with me, right?
You do.
So I mean, I'm going to say to them, you know, can you, if you want any chance of reconciling with the Duke versus total annihilation of your village, I suggest you help us stop this right now before it gets any worse.
Right. Yes. What will his response to that be? Let's try. You try and persuade him. Let's see what that looks like, and that'll give me some indication of what his reaction will be. So I think this would be persuasion would be relevant. Otherwise, I think it's wit.
You're muted.
It was not very witty anyway, so I won't. So with wit is +1. Witty. And we're out of the gate. Well, so
he looks at you and says, the water horse will consume you all, and leaps into the water on the other side of the boat, away from the attack. Let me go to Janderton. Janderton, you're chest deep in the water. One of the newtling mercenaries, because there are still 2 on your boat, one of them is holding the butt end of his trident out so you can get back in the boat. And I think the same is true of the second newtling, who's holding the butt end of their trident out, so maybe Rissan can get a hold. But because he thinks it was accidental, he can't imagine why you would leap into the water. What do you do?
I yell out, "Bring on your finest, I will defeat them."
Okay, let's see if you avoid the javelin. So I think this is might. I'm going to make it -1, because you're not entirely certain where this is going to come from. It's not like you have a shield that you could kind of, be protecting yourself with a missile weapon. So roll might -1. You can't do them any harm, but this is about whether they can do you any harm.
11.
Oh, fine. A javelin splash, whizzes past.
I really was expecting an attack, so.
And it whizzes past you, across the boat, misses the newtling. Maybe the appearance, because that's a very good roll. Maybe the appearance is that they're trying to take out the newtlings, and that was less a miss of you than a miss of the newtling behind you who's trying to help you out. Rissan, what about you?
I can swim. I am not floundering there, I think. I wonder, however, no. I don't think an insight will help me here, although it might. But I think I need to light up the scene a little so we can see where everyone is, and I will do the flare thing. Jonathan is close enough to me that he will hopefully notice me doing that and know what I'm doing when I start chanting these words. This is just my hope. I also hope that Incarnate, I will yell, close your eyes, I think, before I do it, because they know it, and the newtlings might also close their eyes, but they probably won't. And if they do, they can't throw their javelins very well at us, right? So, yeah, I'm doing the flare thing.
Fine. So you cast the spirit of bright light, which I don't think I asked you whether this was in a tattoo or in an object of some kind. I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it is actually in an object, like an artifact that I have, and I think it is the kind of the kind of bracelet that is connected to a ring.
Yes, yeah.
And the light comes from starts in the bracelet and then comes out of the ring.
Fine. And that dazzles the newtlings. Because it's aimed towards the reeds, it doesn't dazzle your newtlings or the other characters. So it's aimed at that reed bed. It's bought you some time, which is what you usually hope it's going to do. What do you want to do with that time? Because I think the initiative moves to you in the sense that you've just done that and they're all a bit kind of, oh, go ahead. What do you want to do with it?
I think I will threaten them. I will stand up in the boat again. No, I'm not in the boat. I'm in the water. But I will stand up. You said it's boggy, so I can stand there, right? So I will say, I don't know what you are trying to do here, people of the bog, but we are not some people you can trifle with. So maybe try and make your argument with us before my friend over there, and I point to Jonathan, slaughters you all like he slaughtered the brew last week.
Okay, so this is, I think persuasion is relevant. It's pretty aggressive persuasion, but I think I'll go with it. But to make that aggression bite, I think I'm going to make this grit rather than wit. So roll with grit, and persuasion applies.
What does that mean if that persuasion applies? Is that a roll with advantage or?
No, so under the rules, if you have a relevant skill, basically you can't fail. 6 minus becomes 7. 7 plus gives you an extra benefit from the list. Because we only have the one move, really.
Okay, that's fine. So I've rolled a 9.
Oh, so 7 to 9 would normally give you choose one from the list. So some narrative advantage that we pass to another seeker. I'm not sure that mark one segment on a clock, avoid a narrative consequence the GM will describe. I suppose this could allow you to get back in the boat, but because you have skill in persuasion, I think the bottom line is that it works. They've seen your power with the flare. You've threatened them, and I think that those newtlings are going to retreat deeper into the bog. But you can get another narrative advantage, I think, which is that it is.
Can we have our prisoner back, or maybe?
No, I think that's too big an ask.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
unless I think he's going to need to be tracked down if you want him.
Okay.
As will
can
the
we
other
take another
newtlings.
prisoner? Can we take another prisoner?
I don't think so, because none of you have
Okay.
got within hand, reach of these. They're just javelins in the undergrowth.
Okay.
What I am going to let you see is a general direction for their departure.
Okay.
And they are heading, because in the distance, remember, there's a cliff face. Oh, maybe you weren't here for this session, Sabine. So let me describe.
It's cliff face and the
Five
faces.
Eyes.
The eyes, right?
Five Eyes.
That was the cause of the religious split between the North and the South Block newtlings. Yes, I remember that.
And that appears to be the direction in which the attacking, ambushing newtlings are heading.
Is that the direction in which one of the Bog villages lie?
No, not really.
Interesting. Interesting.
Okay.
Okay. So
I
get down into the boat now.
Yes. So you've scared them off, is the bottom line, and you've scared them off towards the Five Eyes.
Interesting.
And the two surviving newtlings, having recovered the bodies of their comrades from the water, they want to go back to Rome Fort, the fort at Ronegarth, rather. Incarnate, what's your thinking?
I think we need to press on. I mean, we need to track while the trail is hot, so to speak.
So head into the bog behind them.
Yeah, I mean that's why we're here, right?
Okay, Jansen, what's your view? Well, I suppose technically you're here to hunt some outlaws that the prisoner claimed he could guide you to in North Bog, which is further north.
Oh, that's right.
Were they human outlaws or were they newtling outlaws? I don't remember.
He wasn't particularly specific.
Well, I'm a little suspicious now, just in the sense that like originally we kind of got a tale of woe from that newtling, right? Oh no, we're just good.
We're the innocent victims here.
Yeah, but then I'll kind of relate to the rest of the you guys that when I tried to persuade him to stop the violence, he basically cursed me down with like, what was it, may the water horse.
The water horse will consume you all.
Yeah, which feels like the whole tone of this thing just kind of changed a little bit, right? So maybe this is more complex than we understand, and it might be useful for us for the Duke to understand what is going on with this. This may be more important than simple banditry, if there even is any banditry, right? I mean, and I don't remember. Do we only have the word of the newtling that there was banditry, or has there been banditry and the newtling said, "Oh, I know who they are. I can take you there"?
No, he offered up the location of outlaws as an indication of his good faith, that he wanted to be friendly to the Duke and his people wanted to be friendly, and it was these mercenary newtlings that were just picking on his people.
Yeah, that seems like a falsehood, and I think we should follow these newtlings. Almost looks like they were trying to rescue our prisoner, because they retreated because I threatened them. But they also might have just retreated because they had freed the prisoner, which might have been their objective. On the other hand, they could just have been the bandits. I think we should follow them. I will agree with Incarnate.
No, I appeal to you. I agree with your wisdom. Let's go.
The newtlings are not prepared to go.
That's fine. They can take their dead comrades back for the funeral, and we will take the other boat and follow these guys.
And
Yeah,
and I think they look at you as if, and they look at one another as if to say they're going to go into the bog on their own. That's kind of madness.
I'm sure Incarnate knows everything about bogs, and to my mind, everything wilderness related is just kind of the same thing, right? You know how to survive in the desert, you probably find in the bog. I'm a city person. I have no idea about the wilderness.
I'll say to the newtlings, you don't know the madness we're capable of.
Then
I'll write this down.
they
I'll
they
write
they
this down.
they will carry this decision back to the Duke, but this
yeah, that's
this isn't what they were told to do.
Yeah, I think we want to be sure that I mean, they're in the employ of the Duke. I think we do want to be sure that they carried the word of what has occurred, and that we were tracking these quote unquote bandits to the eyes. Do we know they're headed to the eyes?
Certainly, that was the direction that Rissan saw. You know, the movement in the reeds heading in that direction. I mean, it's 5-8 miles away, but you know, still. So you know, no distance at all to trek through a bog.
Right.
So you are not going to get there tonight. If you're absolutely certain, then the newtlings will, you know, grant the blessing of the frog goddess on you, in the hope that they ever see you again. And turn their boat round and take the 2 casualties back to the fort at Ronegarth, leaving you with the enviable task of navigating a reed boat through a reed bed. So, Incarnate, a lot of people are looking at you right now. You know, Janderton is probably prepared to paddle, but in terms of which of these myriad narrow creeks and threads of river that run through this reed bed, the consensus from Rissan seems to be Incarnate will know how to get there. So let's see how that goes, shall we? I am going to apply a -2 to this because it does strike me that this is not easy. Because once you get in these reeds, your kind of line of sight is measured in, you know, a handful of paces. And so occasionally, you know, you have to kind of stop and get up and try to balance and try to orientate yourself on the eyes that you can see on the cliff face. Let's have you roll. Survival is relevant.
All righty. And which is going to be at a -2, right?
It is. Plus, I think, wit.
Plus what? So -1.
Oh no, I mean, or are you forcing your way through this? In which case, it could be grit.
No, I think I envision tracking being more of a, you know, less a brute force activity and more
Fine.
of a all right.
Yes, left to Janderton, this would probably be just, you know, at the front of the boat, hacking through this with his short sword. But yeah, you try to do this.
All right, so I have a 6.
Right. Well, because survival applies, you can't fail. So you make some progress, but you're not going to be out of the bog before nightfall. So how do you intend, what do we see as night falls?
I think we try to find you know, maybe some you know how there's like often like, I don't want to call it high ground, but where there'll be little
Higher
like,
ground. Yeah.
where it's, you know, and I think maybe we'll pull the boat up there and be able to dry off a little bit. It's a bog. I don't think we ever completely you'd completely dry off in a bog, but but yeah, so I think we'll find a little spot like that and then kind of hunker down for we probably should have some sort of watch, I would assume.
Well, inevitably I was going to ask that question. You've got supplies for tonight. That won't be a problem. You weren't really expecting to be out overnight. Investigate the outlaws, deal with them, back to the fort. That was the deal. Now you're on a damp patch of reed bed, having pulled the reed boat up onto this damp patch. And which order are watches? I'm thinking here, dusk till midnight, midnight till deep night to dawn.
I'll take the middle one.
Okay. Who goes up first? Who's on first?
I can take the first one. I'm not a morning person anyway.
I remembered that from earlier, so that was
okay. So that's Risen, Janderton, and Incarnate. Let's start with Risan. What is it that means that you don't actually fall asleep, that you seem to be continually kept awake? What is it that keeps you awake, Risan? Oh, you are muted. I mean, apart from your desire to be awake.
Oh, I will write up what we have done, what we have seen, record stuff, go through my notes. I will pay attention to my surroundings, though.
I was going to ask that question.
Yes. No, so, I will write up the thing, then I will look around, see if my companions are still sleeping, swat at a few gnats that are plaguing us, and then continue my writing.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to mention those biting insects, because the bog is alive with them at this time of year. Even at night, the temperature falls, but it's humid in these reeds, and there are bugs everywhere. That
will absolutely keep me awake. The fact that there are bugs crawling around, and
exactly so.
City person.
So plenty of biting insects. Janderton, what is it that makes it relatively easy to stay awake? What is it in the environment that keeps you awake, or in your mind that keeps you awake?
Yeah, the latter, because I've been haunted by a ghost, and it'll just occasionally drift past and say, "You're never going to amount to much. You're not even much of a warrior, really. Can barely fight." Those sort of delightful quips. Piss off, will you?
Yeah, well. I mean, I am curious what you do, Janderton, when you see a greenish light in the darkness. You can't see the light. There's just a glow out there in the reeds.
I mean, I'll grip my sword hilt, but I'm not moving because I'm like, nope, I'm not going out. It's even less safe there than what it is where I am, so I'll just try real hard to.
Even when the glow gets closer, that doesn't entice you out.
No, I think I'll recite some prayers to Humact in my head and just try and get the rhythm of that.
Fine, that's okay. And I think also, when the light moves, you can hear the water moving, as though there's something moving in the water out there.
Great.
But you get through your watch. And we come to that final watch, which will take you up to dawn, Incarnate. That's you. Those lights, Janderton warns you about them. But it seems like once you get past the darkest of the night, that isn't an issue. Those lights are not visible. Or maybe they're out there, but you can't quite see them. It's not quite dark enough. I don't know. But there's certainly something moving about in the water out there. What do you do?
Well, I think the first thing you'll see is that she knows well enough that she's plastered herself with like mud and stuff to protect herself from the biting insects and things. So she's kind of a sight to behold right now, and everything. But I think part of what I'll answer that question. Part of what keeps her awake too is the wonder of the bog, right? It's a wellspring of life, right? And so it's just this amazing amount of life and all of this sort of stuff. but I actually think she's going to. I also envision her keeping watch in both sort of in a somewhat active way, where she'll kind of go out a little bit around. You know how sometimes watches you just sit there and watch, but sometimes you kind of scout around the area, and I think she's going to kind of scout around with the idea, just general watchfulness, but also trying to get a better sight or bead on what might be slopping around out in the bog.
I like that. Leaving the slightly damp campfire to begin to sputter and smoke. Let's. I think tracking is probably what you're trying. You're trying to work out what's out there. So let's have you roll with again wit. I think, but tracking is relevant, so you can't fail. Just depends how good he gets.
Hang on. Come on, Google Sheet. Wit is 1. Okay.
That's a 9. So I will give you one narrative advantage in the shape of you come across, as you know, you're working your way around this slightly higher ground. And it's only probably about 10 or 15 paces at its longest dimension. There are reeds growing on it. But I think as you make your way around this, just as you kind of get out of sight of the others in the campsite, you'll come across an area where a significant area of reeds has been flattened, as though something broader than man-sized had moved through the reeds here. For your no, you only do one narrative advantage. I think I'll give you that, and that would give you +1 in not being surprised by whatever's out there. Fair enough.
Yep.
Do you follow this trail through the reeds? It's been flattened down as though something has actively flattened it down. It's not been parted.
Maybe like a snake or something.
I think a snake possibly. It's more like something has kind of rolled forward over it and then rolled forward over some more and then rolled forward over some more, rather than kind of a snake. I think would be going through it.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think she can. I don't think she's going to resist the. So I think she'll cautiously move along its path a little bit.
Fine. Let's have you roll to see whether that +1 to avoid being surprised by it works, shall we?
Excellent.
I think survival would be relevant. So you're not going to fail, but how much of an advantage are you going to get out of this? Because it thinks it's stalking you when in fact you are stalking it.
All right. Looks like I rolled. So you said a +1?
A +1.
So it's 9.
9. Goodness me. Does that include wit?
No, that does not include wit. So it'd be a 10 with the additional +1.
Okay. So on a 10 plus, you get 2 narrative advantages. So 1, there is a bulky shape, low and bulky, probably no more than 1 meter or so in height, but equally 1.5 meters broad. This blobby shadow, and it's done its best to lay a trail and then disappear to one side of the trail. Yeah, but it doesn't know that you've seen it. Yeah. What do you do next? Because whatever you do next is going to get a +1. It has failed to surprise you.
I think she's going to invoke the spirit magic in her heirloom armband and try to speak to it.
Oh, right. Well, I mean that's a straightforward. That just works because it's spirit magic. And what are you saying?
Yeah, I think she'll say something like mighty hunter of the bog, um hear me. um um I am not your prey. I th- will you, I mean, is beast speak, I mean, is it it's probably is it like literally talking, or is it going to be more emotive or
I mean, I've always played it as emotive. I know
okay,
some people would play it as you can speak the language, that beasts
right?
speak, beast speak. I think it's more about emotion and communicating in that way.
I think she just wants to let it know that she's not prey, but ultimately I think she sees that this creature could maybe help them get out of the bog. I don't know how to emote that across, right?
I suppose help to that you need help.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And I think what comes back is a sense that you are trespassing on territory. Yeah. But I'll happily let you try and convince it. So I think that this is wit, roll plus wit. I'm not sure survival or tracking is relevant.
Survival might be if I fail. How about that?
Oh well, okay, that's mixed success. I think that you pause it long enough to not be surprised when something long and leathery whips out from it, aimed at you. Um, and you step back, and it's a long tongue in the moonlight that whips out towards you and then back, and then the thing leaps, and a great toad-like thing comes out of the dark. What are you going to do?
um, I think I want to. So, question on spirit magic: If can you invoke multiple ones, or once you invoke spirit magic, they're all, are they, like, I know they reset after a day, but is it the whole thing that resets or just each one? Because I have
Each
six.
one, each one.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I've just put lines through your serpent
Okay.
armband because the beast speak as, yeah.
Okay.
But the other ones are available to you.
Yeah. So I think she's
I
gonna.
mean,
And
I suppose what I'm curious about is do you shout out, or is all of this done in complete silence?
um, I think, yeah, I think she will shout out as she invokes the. I want to invoke the disruption spirit magic.
Fine. I'm not going to make the others roll for that. They're going to come awake, but they're not going to be there instantly. So Incarnate shouts, and that's enough to get you up. But let's have you invoke disruption. Yeah. You just do what it says, which is, I think, the spirit attacks a nearby foe you target. Mark their clock once. I have marked their clock once. I'm not using the clocks in the keeper; they're too involved. I've just got a set of ticks on here. Um, and sometimes the technology is unnecessary. Um, and and then it's kind of on you. So what I wanted to do is to roll with might, because I think this is what, use the disruption and run, use the disruption and prepare to receive borders. Which
um, I think she's liking the idea of fighting this thing. So I think maybe she was a little bit hoping that she would maybe give it pause when she did the disruption. So she wasn't. It wasn't like she was. Yeah. So I think she's going to fight it.
Fine. Well, that's why I'm not going to apply a penalty to this first attack, because you do kind of throw it off its pace somewhat. So roll with might, and I think it's a broadsword, isn't it? Which is just a straightforward roll with might. Yeah, roll with might. Well. What do you know?
Stop rolling.
Indeed. And this great sloppy toad leaps out of the reeds. It's an enormous great blob in the night. And it is going to do 2 harm. So mark 2. Armor would apply? Light armor?
No armor. I'll take the 2.
You take the 2 to your health. And I think Jandatin and Rissan will hear the kind of scream of this. And I think that's the point at which we're going to take our first break as they stumble awake. It's 5 past the hour now. Shall we be back in our seats at 1:15? And so, Jandatin, Rissan. Jandatin, again, as the more martially inclined, I'm going to come to you first. You can hear, 10 paces away through this kind of scrubby bushes, reeds, you can hear Incarnate clearly engaged with something. What do you do?
Sprint over there with my short sword.
Fine. Rissan, what are you going to do when you hear all of this going on?
I will be a little bit confused because it's in the middle of the night. I will try to. I assume we have at least a little fire going to heat up some stuff and that such. So I will make a torch and then so we can see what's going on.
Fine. I'm not going to make you roll for that. It'll just take a bit of time. So Jandatin will arrive. Incarnate, you are on the spot. So I come to you first. Jandatin's in motion. This thing came at you. The whole snapping jaws thing. It's bulky. It's heavy. It's there's a lot of mass behind this. What do we see you doing?
Is it like on me?
No, I think that your success earlier with kind of disruption, I think as it fell short. But yeah, it wanted to leap on you and crush you. You just got caught by the, one of its claws or maybe a snap of the jaws. But it's a big toad.
Well, I think narratively anyway, I think she's going to attack it, but I think what she'd like to do is try to leap up on it and attack it. So whatever, just to make the scene more interesting.
Yeah, no, I like that. So let's have you roll with might. Looks like an 8 to me.
Yep.
So that will do. I would mark 1 harm, but unfortunately, it's got quite a thick, warty skin. So your sword pretty much slides off the top of it. Yeah. Your short sword. What about Jandatin, who charges into this? And there's just shadows and moonlight and warty great dollops of toad. What do you do?
I'll try and slide in from the flank and stab.
Stab it. Why wouldn't you? Go ahead. You can't fail on this because your hand-to-hand comes to mind. Might.
Hang on. There you go. 12.
Oh, a 12. I think that's our first 12. So on 10 plus, so you get 1 for a success. You get another success on the basis of 10 plus. On 12 plus, you succeed as on a 10 plus, but also agree with the GM an extra benefit, such as a 3rd choice from the list. So do you want narrative advantage out of this, or do you just want to hurt the thing?
I want to hurt it, but like, is it dead or is it's still going?
Oh, it's certainly wanting to get it incarnate, and you've just come at it out of the darkness and to the side.
Okay, well, can I have it turn its aggro to me? Basically, it's gonna focus on me.
Fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat that as the focus moves to you. That's one success. The second and third successes are damage.
Yeah.
Fine. Its light armor will take one of them. One more will get through. Enough to draw its attention to you. Risan, you've got your torch. You'll be there at the end of the next kind of roundabout. Incarnate. This whirlwind leaps at it from out of the darkness, and it turns to face. What are you going to
do? Does the beast speak still? Is it like a one-time thing, or does it
until the end of the scene?
So, can she say? I think she wants to say, "Mighty, mighty beast of the bog, hold. It's not worth your life for this."
I'm very happy for you to roll with wit, I think, because you're trying to convince it of something. You don't have persuasion, so roll plus wit. Ooh, a 10. Will you look at that? So the narrative advantage, I think, well, you tell me. Give me the first narrative advantage that you gain out of this with a single success, and then you get a second one.
I was thinking, will it stop? Will it kind of stand down in a way that we would recognize it standing down? Does that make sense?
I think so. I think that it draws back from Janderton. And in Rissan's arriving torchlight, you can see these great bulbous orange eyes reflecting back at you. So that's your first narrative advantage. It has paused. What's the second one? Because you can see it is bleeding from the wound that Janderton inflicted.
I will. If you help us, I can heal you.
Ooh, went the crowd. I think it will go for that, and I'm going to cut, unless somebody stops me, straight to the following morning with this great toad nosing the reed boat through down channels. It's gained an impression from you, Incarnate, where it wants to go, where you want it to go. But the other thing to note is that with the rising of Yelm, the arrival of Yelm will re-empower your spirit. So all your spirit magic comes back. Yeah. And this is going to improve your progress no end, because it knows where it's going. And it also knows how to get there. There's a couple of times when it could get through a gap by going slightly underwater, but for the most part, you are pushed by this great bog toad in the direction of Five Eyes, which is actually further south than you kind of initially were headed. So this has corrected you significantly. And then as you nudge up towards the edge of the bog, it swims away with your shouted thanks, I'm sure, Incarnate. You are about half a mile from the cliff. But there's something else you see. About 200 yards in the other direction, I think I told you in session 1, there are maybe session 2, there are places where scree slopes and rock falls and water courses have broken down these cliffs. So there are ways to get from one layer to the next. And what you see north of you, Five Eyes is south of you. What you see north of you is a bizarre set of riders. They're in the NPC tab. If you go down to about row 65, there are a handful of tusk riders riding great tusked boars. And there has been a rumor at the fort that some tusk riders, some marauding tusk riders, have appeared in the vicinity. But what is worse about these tusk riders is they have a prisoner who is shouting and cursing them like a lunar imperial trooper. It is Jezra, daughter of House Rune. And they are heading up to the next level on the map. So you come out of the bog about here. Five Eyes is south of you. Just north of you, there's a break in the cliff face, and they are heading up to this next layer of the cliff. You have a difficult choice to make. What choice do you make? Risan, I'm going to come to you first. You're a sophisticated individual. There is a young woman in distress.
And she is the daughter of the guy we owe allegiance to, right?
She is the heir of House Rune.
Yeah, I think rescuing her might actually be something that we would be tasked at immediately if our employer could see the situation. So I feel that we should try at least to rescue this young lady.
Janderton, you didn't swear an oath to pursue the newtlings, I think. But you are sworn to protect House Rune.
Yes, I don't think I have a choice.
In that context, Incarnate.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, right? We can, we have to be able to adapt to. I mean, surely going back and saying, yeah, we found out about the newtlings. BTW, we saw your daughter running over here. Probably.
Yeah. Shame about the head they sent you.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And
but
so
we don't have the bison with us. Though.
You don't have the bison with you. So what I think I'm seeing is you trekking in pursuit of these riders. Now, clearly they're moving faster than you are because you're on foot. And it's going to take you probably in a day and a night to catch up with them. But to be honest, not difficult, Incarnate, to track a handful of giant tuskers. And it becomes pretty clear early on the second day where they're heading. They're heading towards the tower, which is located kind of at the southern end of Eyes Rise. If you check that out on the map, you'll see that having come up from Great Bog, they're making their way south across Eyes Rise towards the stone tower.
That's the one with the vampire, right?
Yeah.
That is all that Dane could tell you. That the story was that it was occupied by a vampire, but no one had seen the vampire in like decades.
It's probably retired then.
Didn't you want to kill undead?
Vampire, right?
Janderton, just.
I have to again.
Well, I'm pretty sure vampires count as undead. Just.
This time though, Janderton, I think to meet the vow, you have to succeed in killing a member of the undead.
Yes.
Just saying. So let's do a screen wipe to you on a low rocky rise with the tower visible a little way away. Who's doing what? I'm going to come to Incarnate first because you're kind of our wilderness person.
Yeah, I think she's probably just scouting for the best approach to the tower, and looking for any signs of activity or anything that, yeah, but probably mostly focused on how best do we get down there or over there, whatever, without being seen.
Okay. What time of day or night do you want this to be, Incarnate? Because again, I think the others would probably take their lead from you in terms of you know, how quickly or slowly you want to get there in order to arrive at light enough for you to make those observations.
Yeah, maybe like dusk, right?
Towards dusk. Fine. So that you could act at dusk on the information you get. Fine. So I will tell you for nothing that this is this tower must be 10 or 12 meters across. In fact, let me add a picture to the map tab. That would be logical to do. Let's try putting it there. You should now be able to find it on the map tab underneath the kind of Weiss domain, Rome County. It's probably about 12, with the thickness of the wall, probably 12 or 14 meters across. You can see that it's got two large doors on one side, and a rampart at the top. And you can see some windows, which are about 8 meters up, I guess. At a rough estimate, you would think that it's probably got maybe a ground floor and a couple of floors inside it. It depends on how high they are, but no more than that, and then a roof. And for nothing, I'll tell you that there is no activity on the roof. You get all of that for nothing. Rissan.
I want to know, just a quick check, and are the rider animals with the boars, are they parked outside?
They are.
Okay.
There's a rough corral outside.
How many of them are there?
There are 6 of them.
6 of them. Okay, that's a lot.
And there's a rough corral that's been constructed, and the tuskers are kind of hobbled to stop them getting away too quickly if they get through that, and they are, you know, breaking up the ground in front of it, much as an ordinary sized boar might do. Yeah. Though it must be said, Rissan, you know that these tuskers will take meat.
Yeah, usually pigs of all kinds.
They'll omnivorous, yeah. The story goes that these things prefer meat.
Yeah, I've heard horrible stories about these, but that is neither here nor there, really.
Any other questions, observations about tuskers and their riders?
Just not about that, but from our vantage point, the roof, is it like an enclosed roof? Can we tell, or is it like a typical, like where there's a trapdoor of some sort, where people could be on the roof?
Okay, I'll tell you for nothing. Flat roof with a rampart.
Okay.
There does look to be. It's bright sunlight. I'm not going to make you roll for this. There are 2 statues of winged reptiles perched on the roof decoratively.
Statues.
Rissan, any other observations you want to seek to make or ask me about with respect to the animals or their riders?
The riders were human, right?
No, they're not. Tusk riders used to be human, and then they were cursed.
Oh no.
And now they are in common parlance described as half trolls.
Oh.
But that's probably common parlance. You've got I'll tell you all that for nothing.
Okay.
Janderton, what are you interested in, or what do we see you doing at this point, from this point of observation?
How well armed and armored are the Tuscan rider dudes?
Yeah, let's not get sucked into Tusk riders. I can't even say if they significantly predate actually Tuscan raiders. I'd have to check the dates. But They look to be lightly armored, I think it's fair to say. And as you saw them riding up that scree slope, they were armed at least with spears. Okay. So all of that you get for nothing. Now, is there anything you want to work for? Rissan?
I could do the inside on the tower, right? My rune thingy spell.
You could. You could.
I think I would, because it seems like maybe there's a secret entrance, because if there's a vampire in there, I feel that a secret entrance might be on the table, right? So we could sneak in there.
Let's see what insight Lancormai is prepared to grant you. So
I would
this is
really like him to
so
grant
this is
me
use
insight.
rune magic, roll plus current favor.
My current favor is 2. That's an 8.
It's 8. 7 plus. Your god grants you the full effect of the spell at the cost of 1 favor. So current favor drops from 2 to 1.
Oh, I've dropped incarnate favor. I apologize.
That's always the best way to cast a rune spell, in my experience. And what I think he will tell, what the insight you're granted is that the surface of this tower, from where you were sitting, looked very smooth, you know, kind of unnaturally smooth. But now with the lens that Lancormai grants you, you can see that actually it's quite rough-hewn stone. But there's what's left of some kind of illusion spell cast on this to create the impression of a smooth tower. And so I think the insight you get is that though it looks unclimbable, it's probably climbable. Okay?
Yep, that's fine.
But no particular, because I mean, there's lots of windows. So, you know, exit for your vampire at night, or, you know.
You could climb up to a window instead of the roof and get in there.
Okay. But I think broadly, you are concluding that some kind of sorcery has been at work in and around it on this tower. Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess that illusion spell might not be all there is. Incarnate, what, if anything, do we see you doing or, you know, working towards in terms of pre-mission briefing?
I
mean, there may not be anything, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm she's thinking about, you know, I tend to agree with Rasan's comment that 3 of us and six Tusk men or Tusk people, and potentially a sorcerer or a vampire, we probably need to think very carefully about how to approach this.
Could we try and sneak up to the tower at night time and climb up through a window
well,
or something?
let me just add a nuance to the insight of Lancormai. That illusion is ancient. So it is by no means perfect. You might even conclude that it is running down.
It's degrading. So
Degrading.
the sorcerer, if the sorcerer is still there, they might be senile or something like that, or they might just have left and there is a new person in there who might or might not be a vampire.
I can't give you much for free in terms of those speculations. You could roll with wit and apply your lore.
Yep, I will do that. Let's see here. I've got a wit +1 and I've lore applies. Just 1. Still an 8.
Fine. So on an 8, I can give you 2, because law applies. I give you 2 narrative pieces here. One of which I think is that the view of followers of Lankomai is that sorcery is incredibly ancient.
Oh, okay.
So this is not a decade old. This is lifetimes old.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that one. And the second one, do you want to ask me a question, or I'll throw a detail your way?
I think I would like to know if vampires are known for being able to do some sort of magic stuff. Besides,
the only vampires that Lankomai records lots of stuff about people who claim to drink blood and all that, but that's often just psychopaths. There is a god called Vivamort who can grant endless undeath. So vampires are a thing. But they're a thing you get if you sacrifice enough to Vivamort,
like
rather than
princess.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, but it would be a possibility. And I feel that at least your Mark might have views on that.
If there is a kind of polar opposite to Humact, it might well be Vivamort. Because, Humact is all about honorable death. Undeath really does put a large, do not come here through that rune that you worship. So that may shift, Janderton, your perception of how you should come at this?
No, I still want to kill the vampire, but I'm not against the idea of sneaking in. I'm not stupid.
Fine. Okay. Incarnate, I think that's the point which everyone looks at you in terms of, well, how do we get in then?
Well, I was thinking that maybe we could create a distraction of some sort to even the odds a little, and maybe we could do that by trying to let loose their mounts, right? And get them to. So I had a couple thoughts about
scare them with a flare, maybe.
Or that, yes, or even if we wanted to I don't know if this is too much, but if we could hunt down some small animals or something like that, we could lure them with the meat, right? And get them. But you're right, that I didn't think that I like the flare idea, because if we can get them untied or whatever and then flare them, that theoretically, in my mind, that would get them spooked and they would take off, and then maybe some of the tusk people would chase them or try to get them, and then we could then sneak in.
They would know if I use the flare. They would know that somebody's there.
True.
Just saying. So the idea of you can talk to beasts. If I gathered that correctly, maybe you could get them to go somewhere to where you promise them there would be meat.
Good idea. I like that.
That would then they would run off, and the tusks might not be clear on how they got loose, but maybe they would blame one of their own for not tying them up correctly. Questions, however, how do we untie these again?
I mean, as I say, they are hobbled and inside a rough corral, really to discourage them. They could just walk through the kind of the brush that's been arranged to corral them. So, but it is the hobbling, I think, that is your biggest problem. If you riled them enough, they could probably break free because they're big animals. But I'm liking the idea. Put it that way. Risen has never unhobbled a boar. No,
So I like this idea too. So maybe if we sneak down there, you know, I could go in talking to them, um, and try to get them unhobbled and get them running away. And you guys could like, I would assume we could like lie in wait behind behind where the doors are in the tower or something, so that so we're not all like in the same place, or we could all go in and try to unhobble them.
Counter suggestion, really quick. You unhobble them, we climb up the tower and come up from there, because they won't expect people from coming from there.
I was just going to make the observation that there is clearly a chimney. It's not entirely clear in that diagram, but on the opposite side of the tower from the doors, the ways in, there is a chimney built on the side, and there are no windows on that side. So that does create a blind spot for you to approach the tower, just to be clear.
And we could use that, climb up. I mean, I assume you can climb very well, Jonathan. I've climbed stuff in my day, but I'm not ashamed to say that I'm not particularly good
It's
at it.
probably easier to get up the chimney than the actual tower itself, so yeah, we go for that till he can do his beast thing to make sure they don't get all spooked while we're just sneaking through and climbing up.
Yeah, and then we rescue the princess, rush off, and no one will be the wiser.
I mean, now you describe it like that, it just seems like this is no challenge at all. So I'm just curious whether are we waiting until we said all of this goes on, so you could act at dusk if you wanted to. So is that what we're doing? At dusk, we see you making your way through the kind of rubble and rocks on the back side of the tower, approaching the chimney side. Is that what I'm seeing?
Maybe dawn might actually be better.
Dawn, fine. Yeah.
Right, if there really is a vampire in there, maybe dawn is better.
Yeah. They don't like, what's the name of the thing in the sky that is really hot?
Yelm.
Yelm. They don't really like Yelm.
No, Vivermort, Yelm, not a good mix.
Do we hear any screams of the princess or anything like that?
I think that's an interesting. You've got awareness, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make you roll. I'm going to tell you. It is, you hear nothing. You can hear, I think, as you watch dusk come and go, you can see that their lights appear through some of those windows, and you can hear the gruff, guttural conversation, or shouted and roaring and the kind of stuff that Tusk Riders do from those windows, because they're open spaces. This is the Bronze Age. And you can hear all of those, but you don't hear, high-pitched screaming or, shouts for help or anything that you might have tied back to Jezra.
No, we can go in the morning then.
Okay. So in the night, I'm seeing you making your way through the rocks and bit of rough, scrubby undergrowth around the rear. The furthest away from the tuskers, the giant tuskers that you can get to. And it is very interesting. Once you get to that chimney, it's as rough-hewn as the rest of this. And even those of you without the insight that Lancomai granted to Rissan, it kind of looks like there's a sheen over it, but it's very clear once you touch it. It's a very thin illusion indeed now. So you're at the backside of this. There's the chimney kind of sticks out a bit. So you've got a corner to climb up in if you wanted to go. What are we thinking? Climb and frighten, or just climb? Or is Incarne sneaking around the side to try and do something with the tuskers before you start climbing?
Yeah,
I think we have to get over there to unhobble them at least so that they can get out, right? So I can go do that. I can go do that while I'm trying to talk to them and get them I think I'm whispering dreams of freedom and open life on the open plain, unhindered by these hobblings and being you are mighty beasts not to be ridden, and while she's trying to unhobble them or whatever. So
Incarnate's a socialist. He's going to overthrow the impressors.
So Incarnate is kind of edging around the side of the tower, under the windows. The lights went out, so at least somebody up there is operating a normal day-night cycle. And you get to the kind of this thorn brush and stuff that's just been created as a kind of way to get through this. Some of it is designed to be moved fairly straightforwardly so that they can get the animals out when they want to or in. So you've got survival, you've got tracking. I allow you to get through the thorn bush without any trouble at all, Incarnate. The trick is, how are you going to unhobble half a dozen tuskers? Because you're whispering, or we'll run, we'll do that. You're whispering all the stuff that says, wouldn't you like to be free? Are you whispering that with the intention of them allowing you to cut the hobbles?
Yes.
Then let's have you roll with wit to persuade them so. Because I think you've got fictional positioning from the Bespeak. I'll just mark that as used. And wit, I think, is the relevant attribute. Ooh, close run thing. That's a 7. And yeah, I think they let you get up close, and how do we see you soothing these great kind of hairy, wiry-haired, slobbering tuskers?
Yeah, I think you see her come in and she's, laying like almost like petting, putting hand upon them while she speaks to calm them and allow her to do the get the things undone there or whatever. So
there are no intruders here. These are not the intruders you want, that you seek. And it goes like a dream. They are all unhobbled. You've not excited them. You've kind of calmed them using the Bespeak, I think. So and you leave the gate open, so to speak, so they can begin to move. But this, I don't think you've angered them or frightened them or stampeded them, unless you want to try to do that.
I think what she wants to do is try to lead them out.
Okay.
And lead them out to like speaking as if she is one of them.
Fine.
And leading them out.
Fine. I think that's going to need another roll because you only got the one narrative out of that first one. So let's see if you can lead them away. Exactly the same dice roll as before. Oh, a 10. Oh, this goes very well indeed. So they follow you out meekly. And then, because the whole point here, I think, is to somehow distract the people inside the tower. This has all gone so smoothly so far that they're now just, snuffling at the ground outside the corral. But you've got one more narrative benefit to come. What is it?
Yeah, I guess I kind of forgot about that. I was being so I was so wrapped up in
Ronaldo.
Cleverness that so I guess maybe at this point.
Well, I'll tell you what, while you're thinking about that, let's cut back to the chimney. Who's going up first? This will be might. because that's general prowess.
I think you're muted, Blake, but I think you should
Yeah,
go
me
first.
then.
Fine.
Yeah.
Let's have you roll plus might, Janderton, to have you make your way up to the top of this tower.
10.
Wow. Will you look at that? Janderton is like a rat up a drain pipe. You know, the angle between the wall of the tower and the chimney, it's more eroded even than you thought it was. And, you know, handholds are many and varied. The second narrative advantage on a 10 plus could be about helping Rissan get up without having to roll.
Yeah, I'll say, you know, put there, and then there, and yeah, come up this way.
So, Janderton, you'll be first over the parapet, followed by Rissan. But, you know, we cut from you climbing and, you know, you see your hand reach the top and reach down to help Rissan make that last couple of steps. Incarnate, how does this turn into any kind of distraction that's going to worry some Tusk Riders?
Yeah, so I think what she'll do is, now that they're all out of the thing, I think she will like make some sort of like hideously loud kind of like squealing sound like they might make, and then like maybe whack one of them, you know, and to get them, you know, you know, fired up and you know, running.
And that kind of you mentally squealing at them, or maybe actually squealing at them. Like,
No, I think actually squealing, in that beast speak way that they, you know, because then that will also help with the, you know, she wants it to be heard, right? So.
Absolutely, because I think then they begin to snort and then bellow, and roar, and head off into the darkness or into the dawn light. Yeah. Leaving you to scurry back around the tower, because I think very quickly lights begin to go on, candles are lit, lamps are lit in the tower, so light begins to stream out of at least one of the windows, and then you can hear, you know, harsh guttural tones inside the tower, leaving you the opportunity to climb up and meet the others. Yeah. Let's see how that goes. Might is what you're looking at, Incarnate.
All right, don't fail me now.
I mean, I'm just wondering, in the absence of, have we got anything? No, we do have athletics. That would be the relevant skill. So yeah, no skill applies here. 10. Around the side of the tower, up there, barely has Janderton kind of clambered over the rampart and helped Rissan up. Then you're up, you know, and your head comes up behind them. As you hear the creak of one of the great doors on the front of the tower, and Tusk Riders are running into the darkness. Yeah. And you know, you all three with some relief clamber over the top. You can see in the dawning light that there's a hole in the center of the roof, which has a circular staircase going down. But that's when you hear the creak of stone on stone. And a voice says, "We are commanded by our master," very politely, in probably an Esrolian accent. We are commanded by our master to deny access to this place and to guard it. Please leave. And both of the stone statues turn towards you. We're going to take a break there. Our final break this afternoon, at a couple of minutes to the hour. Back in our seats by 5 past at the latest. Fine. See you then. Please leave, it says politely. And then as you draw breath, it repeats in another language. and then another language. While it's repeating, Risan, I think I come to you for this initially, because it's speaking in, you will recognize them as some of the languages of the regions of this part of the world. So certainly Esrolian is in there. Tarshite, Sartarite, Pelor, peculiarly, there's nothing of a lunar dialect in any of them, but they're kind of old Esrolian. This is like, you're an Italian speaker and they're kind of speaking something more like Latin.
Yeah. I will answer them in what I approximately can do as old Esrolian, since they seem to be speaking that. I will say, oh, you might be confused, my friends. We came up from there, not from there. We will go back there. It's fine. It's okay. We will obey your command.
Let's try that persuasion, shall we? I'll give you the benefit of the language skill that comes with law. So you're not going to fail. It's just how well this goes. And roll 2d plus wit.
Yep. How that goes. No, it doesn't go very well.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Well, this Rollian is a little rusty. I haven't spoken in a while.
But well, but remember that because you're using persuasion, which is a skill you have, 6 becomes 7 plus, 7 plus becomes 10, gets an extra choice. So that is success. And it will at least give them pause. What do you do with that narrative advantage pause, Risan?
Oh, we will move to the entrance we came from, which is clearly the stairway that goes down into the
spiral staircase, and make your way down at pace.
Yeah.
Works.
Unless somebody else wants to do something else. That is what Risan is doing.
I think that given that they've taken about 3 steps towards you, by the time you get to this, because you actually have to walk towards them to get to the hole, which is a bit of a, but they're not quick. And as you disappear down the stairs, you hear in a repeating cycle of languages, "Thank you for your cooperation." You're on a staircase going down. I have maps and everything. It's just great. So down you go, and you come out onto a landing in what is clearly the kind of living quarters of the Tusk Riders, because it's a mess. There are remains of raw meat about the place. There's, the stink of these guys is not great. Their sanitary habits are not particularly well ordered. It's gross. But there are several other doors off this landing, and of course the staircase continues down.
Is the princess here?
No. What do you do?
Since there's no princess, I feel looting this very unsanitary place is maybe out, and we will continue down.
Down you go to the next floor. Let me think. How do I want to do this? Down you go. And who's in the lead here? I mean, Risan, you will have led the way down from the roof, but it occurs to me that it might be more advantageous with someone with a bit of awareness about them to be at the sharp end. So, Janderton, does this shuffle you to the front?
Yeah.
What becomes clear is that you've got the roof, the window level, and the ground level. These are quite high ceiling spaces. And so you're heading down towards the ground floor. Yeah. Let's have you roll with awareness, as relevant.
I've got my sword out because I'm expecting trouble. So
yeah, I get that.
So is that wit? Or...
I think so. Wit, and you can't fail because of awareness. Just as well you can't fail having rolled a couple of ones. So that becomes one success, and the success is that as you're making your way down, and we there is some light in here because you remember they lit light. They lit some lamps and some candles here. So I'm assuming that somebody's picked up something to a light source just to make your way down here. And what you notice, I think, Janderton, is that the stone steps down are quite evenly worn. And also, you can see that the stairs from that living level down to this ground level, the window level down to this ground level, are not as dusty as the ones from the roof down to the living level. So either they don't go up to the roof often, or it's just very dusty up there. And there are a couple of steps just before you get to the ground floor, which are quite dusty and not regularly trodden on. What do you do?
I'm going to say wait and poke him with my sword.
There is a slight wobble in one of the steps. But I'm not sure poking a sword is going to wobble it enough.
Is there like any sort of stick or spear around on the bottom level I could use to try and pry up this step?
I'm not sure. I mean, what have we got in terms of tools? I'm not sure it pries up. I think it moves like so. Let's not mess about. You push a bit harder, and there's a click, and it and two adjacent steps fall away. It's been a very long time since I said it appears to be a pit trap. Down into darkness.
Is there rope or curtains or something we could use to climb down?
I think there's certainly the possibility of finding some stuff in here. I am going to start marking a clock because it's a matter of, how far those tuskers went and how long it's going to take for them to... Yeah. So I think that I'm going to mark one, because so far you've not had a fail. I'll mark 2 at significant points if you have a fail. And I think probably there's no more than 6 on this clock.
Can I ask, did they all... So are we close to the bottom floor?
Yeah, you can see the bottom floor from here.
And so are there any of them left in here?
You've not encountered anybody.
I maybe would suggest can we jump over it's just a couple steps, right?
It is. This is not a problem if you're not surprised by it.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we could go and see if we could bar the door so they can't get back in.
That's an interesting. And so let's do that. So I think it's not difficult to get across this now. It's there. And it's not difficult to push these big, solid doors closed and bar them. You're hungry.
There's nobody here on the ground floor.
No, it looks like this has been used occasionally to house the tuskers, because there's certainly some fodder and a water trough.
Okay.
And almost a quarter of the building at this level is a big high water cistern. The rainwater that comes down from the roof spirals down that stair and drains into this cistern.
Nice.
And in the wet season, they fill it up, or it gets filled. And there's a trough of water and a bucket that you can access to get this. A step up to the top of the cistern, get a bucket of water from. But yeah, This appears to be the tower.
Well, there needs to be another way down, or
There does, doesn't there, really?
yeah. If only we had somebody with an awareness of things. Oh wait, let me check my ideas about how tower design works, because I mean, yeah, I've been a treasure, not hunter precisely, but I've looked for artifacts. So I feel that I've looked for secret doors in my time, right?
You would think so, wouldn't you?
And know the designs of buildings that are older and how they would back then go about hiding secret doors, because there's always a tell.
Fine. And so do you want to roll with wit?
Yes, I want to roll with wit.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I think law might be valid, because you can apply some logic to this.
Yep.
You know, it can't be in there because so go for it.
Okay. Oh. And we have a 12.
Ooh, at the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, this was what I was actually doing back in the swamp.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you find a secret door.
Mm-hmm.
Built into this central staircase.
Mm-hmm.
A secret door that gives access to the bit of the staircase that you cannot see unless you open the secret door. Yeah, so it goes down deeper. So that's one success. You would normally get 2 successes, but on a 12, you get 3 successes. And because you're using a skill that's relevant to you, you get a 4th success.
Oh my God, I've got so many successes.
You got successes to come out. So you find it. It's easy to open. You got 2 left. I
find the trap that was attached to it.
A trap that has been disabled.
Yes. Oh, it has been disabled. That is interesting information.
So it's in use, is your implication.
Yeah. Yeah.
1 more narrative success, or just a +1 as you carefully go down further?
I'll take the +1 right now.
I'm going to not give you a +1. I'm going to give you a narrative advantage. You hear snoring.
Oh, okay. I hope is that this princess? Maybe, probably not.
No, doesn't sound like a young noblewoman snoring.
Okay, I never know.
Well, and I have to say, I have very little experience of young noblewomen snoring, but just to make that declaration.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like Jezra could make that noise.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I will leave the snoring person up to Jonathan or maybe Incarnate to maybe deal with.
Okay.
They would be amenable to do though. So
the staircase does something a bit odd though, because the access to it is built into this pillar, but it is not part of that pillar. So it's not a spiral staircase. It goes down to a space at the bottom, and there is a light burning in that space. Incarnate first using survival tracking, or Jandeton first using awareness. I feel awareness indoors, survival tracking outdoors. That seems like a reasonable split of the old spotlight. So Jandeton, you are in the lead. Yeah?
Yep, sword out, torch in the other hand.
Great. Who's got the 10-foot pole? And you go down, and the light is coming from, it's the flickering of a fire or a fire pit or a brazier rather than a lantern. And as you get to the bottom, you can see that there is a fire pit built into the wall, in front of which is curled up a tusk rider. And chained to the wall beside him is a young woman who looks up and says, "It's about time." At which point, the tusk rider will be
charge him.
Okay. Do that thing. You run across and you're looking to take him out before he can do anything to you. Well, let's see how that goes. This is hand to hand using might. Go ahead.
I rolled 11.
Ooh, went the crowd. 11. So close. So close. You're going to do 2 harm to him. His light armor will take 1 of those, but the other one will get through as it scrapes across his, and he rolls aside, drawing a big club, and wants to have at you.
That's a bit uncalled for.
Incarnate, I'm going to put you second because I know Rissan doesn't rush into fights. But Incarnate, what, if anything, do you do?
So I think the very first thing she'll do is she'll lean to Rasan and say, go get the princess. And then
She's become a princess. I love it.
Isn't she a princess?
She's the daughter of a duke.
Oh, I'm not up. I'm not up on my.
I know. I must send you a PDF of Debrett's, but go on.
Exactly. Yeah. What? Whatever. Go.
Lady Jezra.
Excellent. So she will. So I'm trying to get the scene here.
So opposite wall.
Yep. And
there's a fire pit built into the wall. Curled up in front of it was the Tusk Rider. To one side, facing the 3 of you as you come in, is Jezra tied to the wall. Janethan has rushed the Tusk Rider, done a bit of harm. Tusk Rider has rolled away and ready to have at. That's the picture. What do you do?
So I was just trying to establish if she's also gonna move into that space to face the Tusk Rider, but wants to position herself between, if possible, to give Rasan cover to go, you know what I mean, to get at the prince.
I'm with you. So you follow up on Janethan's right shoulder, so to speak. Princess is now behind you, kind of. Rasan, the opportunity appears to exist for you to do something useful.
Yep. I think I will rush to the lady who's in distress, clearly.
No, she's just bloody annoyed.
Yeah, she's bloody annoyed, but she's also chained to a wall. So I think I will say, good morning, my lady. I hope you don't mind. I will try to get you out of these bars.
Well, I bloody hope so. I thought no one was ever going to come. I've been really uncomfortable for the last, it seems like hours.
I'm sure it was, yes. Did you see a vampire by any chance?
Vampire? Grow up. Cut back to Janethan and Incarnate. She's not a nice girl. Janethan, you first, as he comes at you with the club.
Sure.
Hefting the shield as he does so.
7.
Okay, that is 1 which the shield will take. Incarnate. Oh, remember to mark 1 health, having made the attack. I forgot about that when we were in the bog. So mark 1 health for the effort of the attack. Incarnate, what do you do? You are muted.
Sorry. You know what? I think we'll just keep this simple, and she'll wade in with her broadsword.
Fine. Do that thing.
I think I'm just a straight up roll with that. So
9, so close. That one, I think the armor will take.
She has no armor, so him. Okay.
Yeah. But mark 1 health for making the attack. Rissan, this tirade of, aristocratic abuse continues.
That's
leaving
fine.
you almost tempted to just walk away.
No, it's fine. I'm used to aristocrats being like that. So I will just try to figure out how to get the locks open. I don't imagine that there are very fancy locks since we're in the Bronze Age. I imagine it's just a bar that you slip out and then can open up the
Indeed so. Indeed so.
in-
You just need to take the pins out
I
and the
will
thing
do
falls
that.
apart.
And then I
Fine.
will say I don't even recognize what she said. I don't even acknowledge what she's saying. I say, "There you are, my lady."
Yes, thanks for nothing. And back to Janderton. Janderton?
I mean, I'm attacking it, but can I move to the flank so we can kind of attack him from 90 degrees?
I think that's fine. I think that will give you a +1 bonus.
And yeah, go from there. Oh shit. 4.
Mark 1 health for having made the attack, and the 4 is not going to go well. So that club is going to do 2 harm to you. Armor would count.
Yep.
Incarnate, you also get the +1 because despite Jandit having fluffed that, you are outnumbering it. Him, them. So go for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide, would she may try to invoke the disruption, and does I mean does I guess I'm does armor, does that bypass
No,
armor?
it bypasses armor. It's AP,
Yeah, so I
which
think
I
what
noticed doesn't say, but it should. Yeah.
yeah. So she I think what she's gonna do is you'll see her take a little step back, and I like the idea of like the runes on her arm kind of glow when she does her stuff, and you'll see like this wispy, thing flow out and then strike at the tusk person.
Analda's big on snakes, so maybe it's this serpent-like thing that and he goes down like a bag of potatoes. There was a 6 in there, so I'm going to mark another couple of on the clock. I think I've marked 4 on the clock now, which had 6 segments. So there are 2 segments before the Tusk Riders get back with or without their tuskers. So what's the plan now? You have the Lady Jezra.
Yeah, I think we need to get out of here. I will offer her my arm. I will continue to ignore just what she's saying and say, "Come with me, my lady, if you want to live."
Yeah.
And then we will avoid the melee in the middle of the room, and I just lead her to the stairs. Imagine she can curse a blue streak, but I don't think she wants to stay here.
She is cursing a blue streak. Spent much too much time listening to Dane and her father, I think, tell war stories. Incarnate, Janderton, anything else in the building? Or are you leaving?
No, let's just leave.
Yeah?
There's
Okay.
too many.
I think she just wants to take a quick cursory look, right?
Okay.
Like, and bring up as she's getting ready to bring up the rear. I think she'll do a quick, she just wants to do a quick cursory look to see if there's anything of interest.
Let's have you roll. I think I give you tracking here because I think the activity of the Tusk Riders might be relevant.
Okay. All right. Is this a wit one or a?
This is wit, yeah. But tracking, I think, would be relevant.
Awesome. Well, good thing.
So that turns a failure into a success because tracking. There is another secret door. Do you want to go through it? Because Rissan and Jezra have reached the stairs that will take them back up to the ground floor. Janderton's heading in that direction. You have a look and you can see that there are some footsteps, some tracks in the dirt floor down here that go to the wall and disappear into it.
If they're still,
or is that the point at which we pause? with that decision about, do you call them back to the secret door, or do you leave with Jezra?
Well, I think if they're still kind of heading up the stairs, she'll holler.
Rissan and Jezra are at the stairs. Janden's heading across the room to the stairs. You found the secret door. I will just point out that the chat now says, oh, well, let's take that and meet the would-be vampire.
Seems a lot more interesting than going out and maybe meeting the Tusk Raiders. But
yeah, we're not going to split up. We're going to stay together. So it's just, are we all going that way?
Incarnate, the spotlight's on you. What are you going to suggest or do?
I think
of the experience points.
I think she's going to open the door.
Push on the wall, the section of wall, and the stones give way really easily. It's clear that this has been opened in the recent past, and there is a musty, dank smell that emerges. And that, I think, is where we finish this episode. As Jezra says, "Is there another way out then?"
Exactly.
Roll credits.
No. Wow.
I think that's a good place as any, because I think that it would be nice, given that Mona had an inclination to see a vampire, if we cut Ben and give her a chance to be here next time. So if there is a vampire down there, there's an opportunity that you'll have 4 people rather than just the 3 of you and a lady. So I'd like to do a quick stars and wishes, if that's okay. In no particular order, except I'm going to start in the middle this time. So Sabine, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, lots of stars, lots of wishes. No, wishes, not so many. Lots of stars, though. Stars for the whole kind of. It felt like a kind of a dungeon crawl. Felt very like the good old days, and I mean that in the nicest way possible, because there were good old days, there were bad old days as well, but this felt like the good old days of going and doing stuff. And I really liked. I love Jonathan and Incarnate. They are both very nice, interesting characters. Especially the vow to Humak that Jonathan gave gave us a lot of ways to convince him to do this for the good of everyone anyway. And I still love Incarnate as the ranger who scouts out. And I love the way she dealt with the tusk boar thingies, like, yes, go to me and be free, roam the steps, and I just love that.
Yeah, what did you put in the chat? Be free, my tusky little friends. Lovely. Okay, which way am I going? Let me go to Joe next. Oh, sorry, wishes, Sabine. Any wishes for next time?
I'm happy with the way this is going. Yeah, I wish my only wish would be that getting XP would be easier, because the rate we are going, we're never going to see an advance with these.
I'm about to do the end of session that I didn't do last time.
Okay, cool.
So, Joe, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I know. I think I second everything Sabine's said, and I just am really enjoying all the characters and the growth of them, right, and learning more about them, and I really like the just right there at the end, the Rissan being the sort of civilized scholar, doesn't react at all to the ladies are supposed to be able to be abusive to us, right? That's just what they are, right? And so just the whole thing's good. I really like it. So, and I don't really have much for wishes other than just more of it. So
more daring do.
Yep.
Okay, Blake, any stars, any wishes?
Kind of a start for the whole thing. I like how we sort of take turns being leader based on whatever the situation is or our skill set or whatever. There's, we all get our spotlight and the rest of us like, yep, that makes sense. We'll go and do that. It makes us like minions, as in the minions. That whatever one of them does, the rest of them commit to it.
Great. Any wishes for next time? Because that will be our last session next time.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe like we had some backgrounds, like mine was haunted and that, so maybe tie in some of them for the other characters. I can't remember what they had, but it's always nice when that happens.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I keep trying to engineer an artifact, but you're not staying anywhere long enough to search for anything. This is unpleasant. Let's move on. So yeah, if you search for stuff, you might find something. But no, I'll bear that in mind. For me, stars. Yes, I loved the way that Incarnate seeks to talk down any monster. You're an enormous toad. Don't worry, relax. Help us, don't kill us. Brilliant. Janderton, I love that you charge things and then roll double one, and yet just roll on with it. It's brilliant. And Sabine, I think that the contrast of the two actioners and the scholar is really nicely drawn. So that's all great. But I will do the end of session. You get 1 XP for the fracas in the bog. Yeah, and another XP for what was supposed to be a confrontation with a bunch of tusk riders, but you came up with too clever a solution. That means that one tusk rider guarding the princess. Duh. So you can have that should give you 3, which should mean that your level now says 2. And what this means is that if you go down to skills, you'll see that there is a level 2 skill that you can now choose. And you are also now, I think you will notice, you are no longer an initiate. You are now devoted. And as a devoted, you get a second rune spell.
I can't seem to find the slot to put down the XP, sorry.
Sorry, experience is on row 1314.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah, it says experience, not XP, which is...
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And with that, I'm just trying to think. You should have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, no, I think that works. Yeah, I think that works. Anyway, we'll cover that next time. And yeah, you've not looted anything, so I'm not going to give you any coin. I'm just going to let you wander through that secret door and see what is beyond.
Maybe an artifact.
Maybe an artifact that exudes a miasma. I don't know.
Oh, please, no. Thank you.
So it looks like Alan, it looks like our favor goes up with the level change too.
Oh, so it does. Yes, it does. So current favor will go up as well. Yeah, to match. No, that's not entirely true. So all your current favors goes up by 1 to match the 1 increase in max. Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't get back up to that until you honor your god somehow. We'll see if that happens. Okay.
And did you say we can choose a level 2 skill?
Yes. I mean, it's the same list as level 1 skills, except it's an extra one of them. So you will have 3 skill areas, not just 2. Okay.
As much as I'd like to diversify, I think it makes. Yeah, I've been doing physical stuff, so.
I don't feel obliged to make that choice now. You can do that between now and next time, or have a chat in the group chat about how to spread the joy about. But yeah, some of them are more generally useful than others, I suppose. But it's all about character, your sense of character. So I'm going to end the recording.
Oh wow! Okay.
So be aware. That once I say I'm going to end the recording and go like that, I will probably freeze and you can just go about your daily business. So here we go.